All right, just back from the press conference in Boston where the Celtics finally addressed the trade that sent Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George and a couple of first-round picks. Brad Stevens, the president of basketball operations, was there. Bill Chisholm, the lead owner, was there. I was there, so let's talk about some of the things that they said. This was a deal, of course, that over the last couple of days has been widely derided. People have wondered, did the Celtics get enough for Jaylen Brown? They wondered why this deal needed to be consummated so quickly. They wondered why the Celtics wouldn't just bring Jaylen Brown back. Brown's coming off the best year of his pro career, all NBA season, led the team to 56 wins. Jason Tatum, a full offseason healthy, chance to get back to his previous form. Why didn't the Celtics want to just run this thing back? So let's unpack some of the things that Brad Stevens and Bill Chisholm said. The first thing was that Brad said was that this was a deal that was about optionality. The Celtics, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, had two players making up 70% of their salary cap. Both those players were on supermax contracts. Both those players make in excess of $50 million per year. Both those players with high usage rates. Stevens thought that would make it challenging to try to win with those two guys. Not impossible, but challenging to win with those two types of players on those kinds of contracts. Getting Paul George, who has the same financial deal as Jaylen Brown for the next 2 years, Stevens believes gives them that. Paul George only has 2 years left on his deal. Brown had 3. Brown was extension eligible. Paul George is not going to get an extension. So this gives the Celtics a little bit more flexibility to do a deal down the line. Bill Chisholm made it clear that this was not a financially motivated deal, which was a reasonable question to ask given the behavior of the Celtics the last couple of years. In the aftermath of the Tatum injury last offseason, the Celtics slashed their payroll, let go of a bunch of guys, traded a bunch of guys, really kind of shredded the roster to a degree. Now you have a deal where you're trading away a guy that was a full max guy who had years left in his contract for more financial flexibility. Bill Chisholm made it clear that in his mind, this was not a financially motivated deal, that this was a basketball decision. And when the time comes for this team to go all in and spend money and go into the tax, go into the aprons, whatever they've got to do to win a championship, he was willing to do that. If Brad Stevens said that's what would need to be done, Bill Chisholm was willing to do it. You can kind of see where they're coming from. Paul George does have a year less on his contract. Paul George is not going to be extended. There's a possibility that next offseason, if Paul George picks up his player option, which he will, that you can trade the expiring contract to get some pieces back in return. That might help you. The draft picks, they could be good as well. 2028, probably going to wind up being the Clippers pick. That could be good. 2031, is going to be the Sixers unprotected first round pick. That could be pretty good. Stevens called it 2 big swings at the apple. He's not wrong. But, none of these draft picks, if they use them, are going to be helpful for a 28-year-old Jason Tatum who's going to be trying to win another championship in the next couple of years. And that's really what this comes down to. Did the Celtics do enough or do a deal that will maximize the prime years of Jason Tatum? I don't think there's any question that next year they are going to be worse. Yes, they added Mitchell Robinson. That's good. Maybe Mike Conley can give you some backup minutes. That helps. Paul George, if you can keep him healthy, which is challenging, maybe he can be a decent wing player, defender, three-point shooter, whatever. But they're not better next year without Jaylen Brown. That, I think, is unequivocally true. Jaylen Brown is coming off a year where we looked at him as one of the top 10 players in the NBA, and you're not better based on the deals that you made. But can the Celtics get better? They can trade those draft picks and other draft picks to get an impact player. They can use that financial flexibility with Paul George to add impact players. So there's a pathway here for them to get better. But you've got kind of a 4-year window here with Jason Tatum, where Jason Tatum is a top 5, top 10 type of player in the NBA. You've got 4 years into his early 30s where you can really try to maximize him, where he's playing at that level. It's now going to be on Stevens. It's going to be on Chisholm to make this deal worth it. They're trying to sell to a degree that Paul George has a lot left in the tank based on what they saw from him in the first round of the playoffs. He did play well, but let's remember, Paul George sat out 25 games before that because of a drug-related suspension. His legs were fresh going into that first round series. He's played 78 games over the last 2 years. He's missed a lot of time. He's got a bad knee. It's really hard to believe that he can get back to being close to the player that we saw from him with the Clippers in that last year. So, look, you can see why the Celtics would do a deal like this. It's a new financial landscape. When the Celtics won their championship, Tatum and Brown made up 47% of their cap. Now it's 70%. So you can see why you need to get some more flexibility. But Jaylen Brown is a great player. Jaylen Brown has proven that he can win a championship opposite Jason Tatum. They've got to find a way to get some kind of talent in there that mirrors the production of Jaylen Brown, that builds on it, and that Jason Tatum can continue to take steps in his career. Because this was, an understandable move to a degree if you listen to Brad Stevens, but it's also an incredibly risky move and one that the Celtics better hope pays off. Because if Jaylen Brown winds up leading Philadelphia to the finals, if Paul George breaks down, if they don't find another piece with that draft capital and with that flexibility, they will have given away a top 10 player for nothing.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, and analysis from the NBA on NBC.